Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief prayer? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless us, Lord, as we gather today for this Freeholder meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so we may work together for the good of our community. Help us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Amen. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Also pursuant to the 2018 bylaws, rules, and regulations of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Burlington, time shall be set aside on the agenda for the receipt of public comments. Public comments will be received with respect to agenda items prior to board consideration of resolutions to be adopted. An additional opportunity for public comment will occur later in the meeting. Public comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Unused time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons may speak once per public comment period. I direct the Deputy Clerk to enter into the minutes of this meeting this public announcement and the advance written notice of this meeting. Freeholder Hughes. Here. Freeholder Fulton.
Here.
Freeholder Singh is absent. Freeholder Tiber.
Here.
Director Gibbs.
Here. Thank you, Gina. At this time, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the conference meeting of September 26, 2018, as well as approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 26, 2018. So moved.
Second.
Hughes, Tiber, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. First off, we're going to do a proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we have Jackie Miller and Chris Hughes from Virtua. Can you join me? So first, we really want to recognize and thank Virtua as such an amazing community partner and really working with the community that they serve to promote awareness and prevention as much as possible. And with it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you know, it seems that everyone today now knows someone who this has touched. Breast cancer runs in my family. My grandmother was 16 when she lost her mother at the age of 36. And when I think about being 32 and having a life, you know, she was a mother of 4, and you know, it was during the Great Depression, so there wasn't a you know, treatment and awareness back then, but it has run in our family since then through the women. And so it's so important that everyone knows about this, knows about the opportunities that are available to get screened so that when it's caught early, we can treat this. And I want to thank Virtua for all of their efforts in making mammograms more accessible and everything that you do. We know that there are an estimated, according to the American Cancer Rate, 266,000 new cases in 2018 alone. Those numbers are staggering. And I'm so happy to be partnering with Virtua in their free mammogram screenings. They have a mobile mammogram service that they offer, and we were able to help sponsor and adding on an additional screening. So I'm really proud that the Freeholder Board was able to join with Virtua. That is going to be October 23rd between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. at the County Health Department. So do you guys have anything you want to add?
Well, I brought pink ribbons for everyone to celebrate not only breast cancer awareness, but all of our survivors. So I'm hoping that everyone puts them on for the month of October and supports all of our survivors. And for any woman over 40, please get a screening mammogram.
Yes, thank you so much. So I will, we'll leave these, I'll pass a few to our Freeholders, and then we can leave them with you so that you can give them out. And I'm just going to read a very brief portion of the proclamation. Be it resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Burlington does hereby proclaim that in honor of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Freeholder Board recognizes Virtua for their efforts to expand access to mammogram screenings to Burlington County women through the New Jersey Cancer Education and Early Detection Program. So thank you so much for all your efforts.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks for your help.
Can we get a quick picture?
Oh, sure.
Chris, thank you so much. And I actually was at Virtua Memorial earlier today honoring an EMT and a paramedic who received the Hero Awards today. So wonderful that you acknowledge those in our community who give back in all their ways and go above and beyond. So I just wanted to additionally thank you for that. Let's get in for a picture.
Everyone ready? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So this is the first portion of public comment. This portion of public comment is only for agenda items. So if you have something that is more general, you can speak at the second portion of public comment, which is at the end of the meeting. I have Carol Melman signed up.
General comments.
Okay. Anybody for agenda items?
Yes. Yes. Just in time.
Just in time. Come on up to the microphone. Please state your name and address for the record.
You go ahead to Paul Bracy, 12 Regency Drive, Mount Hollow. This is based on the information that I reviewed. It was posted 10/9/18, 3:06. If there's any changes that have been made, accept my apologies. In reference to, question first, who prepared the agenda?
Our clerk of the board prepares the agenda.
Does the minority party have input in the preparation of agendas?
Any freeholder can submit a request to have something added to the agenda. The freeholder director is the one who gives approval or denial over what goes onto the agenda. So yes,
So in
any
essence-
freeholder can submit an item,
Yes.
as well as department heads. Mr. Bracy, please stay at the microphone.
Yeah, we need to get it. Yeah. Has something to do with my behavioral disorders. Point of information.
Understood. It's just the sheriff officers really do prefer for public
I
safety that you
understand,
stay there.
and I can't help having an assorted number of behavioral disorders. I can only work on them, which is what I've done my entire life. Follow up before I ask a question. So does that mean that as freeholder director, you're the only one that decides what is presented to the public for action?
For action, so our department heads submit memos. When they want something to go onto the agenda, those things go to our legal team, they review them, they then come to our conference meetings. From conference, all the freeholders have discussion, can ask questions of those department heads, and then those things go onto the public agenda. That's the process. And if you want to add something, you can contact me or the administrator, and then that goes onto the agenda.
Thank you. Is it possible, and then I'll start asking you direct questions, is it possible if one specific minority freeholder wanted a certain item on an action agenda and you decided, for whatever reason, you don't concur with that request, what recourse exists for the minority party?
I believe they could bring it up during their freeholder comments. They could make them. We have different rules of the board that are set by resolution at the beginning of the year in our January resolution, and so there are some procedural things that are specific to freeholder boards that do not follow Robert's Rules of Order. But they could bring it up during freeholder comment, but that so far this year has not happened.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that. In reference to agenda item H2, and again, I apologize. I don't know if this agenda mirrors the agenda that I read on 10/19 at 3:06. I'm hoping the order's the same. H2, my question is, what is the Burlington County Employee Assistance Program? What does it exactly entail?
So you're talking about, it's actually item H3 now, I think?
Okay, again, I apologize
Yeah.
because
This is the EAP program, which is for a number of things. It could be the employee needs help with an addiction problem, the employee needs counseling, the employee needs any kind of really wraparound services. It's an additional type of program that is for our employees.
Thank you. In reference, and again, I apologize because I
No,
think
that's
they're
okay.
going to be out of order.
That's fine.
H4,
Is this for the co-composting?
well, what I'll do is I'll ask the question. What I didn't do is note exactly what the agenda item was in reference to my question, but I hope the question will help you. In reference to H4, will these become no-bid contracts?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, unfortunately. Are you talking about the RFP for operation and maintenance of our compost facility?
Yes.
There's, in public government, that's not the way things work.
How does it work?
Well, there's either there's an RFP process, and that's a request for proposals. Firms submit those proposals. Our staff reviews them depending on which department it is. And depending on what type of contract it is, most things go to the lowest responsible bidder. When there's for specific services or things that are a little bit more technical, then it's cost and other considerations, and those things, our department heads make a recommendation, they just go to conference. At that time, all 5 freeholders can ask questions of the department head, and then once agreed upon, it then goes to public, and then it gets voted on again.
Thank you. Does that mean that you're always seeking the lowest bidder?
It means that when there are, depending on what type of contract, as I said, there's different procurement processes for there's a million different rules for local government contract services, so everything is different. Typically, most of the time, we're doing things on lowest responsible bidder.
Okay.
There are some where, like I said, when it's service-based or more technical experience related, then it's cost and other factors. So if we have a good experience or they have specific knowledge about the way, for instance, at our landfill, at the Resource Recovery Center, there are very specific, historical knowledge that goes into that. So we might say, okay, we'll look at who has been here, who do we have a good working relationship with, but those recommendations come from our staff, and then, like I said, they go before the whole board for conference and public.
Okay,
but unfortunately, you're out of time for this portion of public comment. You can always come back up at the second floor.
But these are in reference to agenda items. You mean I only have 5 minutes to address agenda
You
items?
have 5 minutes at the beginning in the first portion of public comment and 5 minutes at the end of public comment.
I'm troubled by that. Not that I'm questioning the rule, but I'm troubled by that. I have other items to address,
Okay,
plus
so
public
instead
comment.
of, okay, let's go ahead and address them.
Thank you, I appreciate that. H7. Could you please explain the rationale behind an expenditure of $537,568?
Where are you looking on the?
I have H7, ma'am, and again, I'm sorry.
Okay, it says approval of application for NJ Transit for rural transportation, that one?
I don't have time to kind of get up to speed on that. I would think so.
Okay, well, this is an every year we apply for various grants through New Jersey Transit. They operate there are several different forms of transportation that we do. One is through JARC funding, which is for job assistance transportation. Those are we have several Burlington lines that are supposed to bring people to either, some of the lines bring them to the Human Services Building for assistance, and some of them bring them to various high job areas like in Florence. But we also do get funding to help seniors who can't get out to certain appointments. So this one specifically is for the rural line, which is, I think it's like the B5 or the B9.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly which line, but it's the one that goes cross-county.
It's a fantastic service. In reference, I'm sorry, I have to keep on apologizing. H8, who are the 5 vendors? And I have H8. H8.
Yeah, this is H9, it's fine.
Who are the 5 vendors? And how was the $457,000 shared?
So it was actually, I don't have the memo in front of me because I was on conference 2 weeks ago, but our department comes in every year with a list of the different services we provide through, I believe this is for, that Rick Carpenter came in and presented this on, I think this was a lot of youth services. So we have what's called the YSAC board, Youth Services Advisory Committee, and there are community partners and experts and teachers and all. It's a large group, and they review the different services that the state says, here are the different programs and here are the specifications. We get an allotment of money, and then based on how many people are being served and what those things cost, the YSAC board makes a recommendation. They recommended those 5 entities. They gave us a breakdown on who they've been serving and what the program's designed to do. We all discussed it 2 weeks ago at conference, and now it's on the agenda for today. We can get you a copy of that memo if you'd like to see it, but that's where
I
it came
appreciate
from.
that. In the memo, does it specifically address who the vendors are?
Yes, so it's actually, Freeholder Hughes just handed it to me. YMCA for an after-school program that serves 40 youth, that's $58,000. YAP is a credible messenger mentoring program that serves 14 youth. That is where they take credible.
What is YAP?
It's the Youth Assistance. can't remember the last
No,
letter.
I
Jean?
understand.
Youth Advocate Program.
Youth Advocate Program. And so basically that's where we try to get, Credible Messenger is trying to get people who are
Okay.
from those communities to be a messenger to them about, hey, I was in gang life, or I did have a criminal
Mhm.
past, and here's how I got out of it. So
Mhm.
it's really a program designed to give them the credible messengers, to give somebody that they can relate to, rather than, you know, somebody that doesn't really,
It's a fantastic
Work all
program.
that.
And the other three?
Legacy.
Okay.
They do 380 youth. Robin's Nest, which is a community activities strengthening youth interaction, that's 48 youth. And then Oaks, that's for trauma informed interventions, and that's a new program called RISE that serves 30 youth. And I actually just met with Oaks the other day, and the RISE program coordinator, and she's a fantastic young woman who really tries to provide really personalized care for youth who have experienced some traumatic incident in their life. And so rather than saying, okay, they either are becoming involved with the juvenile justice system, but we want to get, rather than just treating this, we want to treat the core trauma that happened to them. And so they do that through really unique one-on-one counseling to understand what trauma occurred with that youth and why that may have led them down a bad path, and that way they can address the initial trauma and then help with, they give them 3 things. The first 2 goals are their goals, and then the third goal, they actually let the youth say, what is your goal? Whether that's finding a job or getting an internship or getting straight A's, and then they help them work with that goal.
Thank
So
you
it's
for
pretty
taking the
neat.
time on, it's a great program. Thank you for taking the time on that. What is the age range?
It's youth, so it's like, for each of the programs it's different, but 18 is the cap.
Again, thank you again for letting me ask the question. What is the earliest age? Are you working with youth as young as 3? Particularly if they come from gang-related behavior, environments?
It really depends. All of these programs deal with, sorry, Mr. Bracy. Valvier, are you on?
Yes, I am on.
Okay, so Gina, can you please note in the minutes that Freeholder Singh has just called in and joined us via conference? Sorry, we
No,
had a
that's quite
technical
all right.
issue earlier. You know, when I was there, they had people in infant seats, carrying seats.
Okay.
They're dealing with families, and they really treat the whole family rather than just the youth.
Right.
So whether that's having, you know, family counseling, they have rooms where they help, really try to make them feel like they're at home, where they have little kitchens and living areas to really make the family feel comfortable and not like they're in an institutional setting.
Mhm.
So when I was there, I saw families with babies in infant carrier seats. So they
Fantastic.
really do start young.
So you agree with the idea of proactive programs as early as 3 for those from gang-related environments is probably the best way to go?
I think that our services that we have in the county here do a really phenomenal job. And yes, we really try to help families of all different, you know, whether it's the grandmother that's raising the child, whether it's parents, whether it's a single parent, whether it's a next of kin relationship. And the earlier the better, because we want to make sure that we're getting to them before they get into the juvenile justice system rather than after.
Absolutely.
But when they are in, we got to help bring them back and put them on the right path.
Absolutely.
So I hope that answers some of your
Oh, no,
questions.
absolutely. Age 15, what kind of health care will be provided by virtual home care communities, nursing services?
So this one's another one that has various components to it. Holly, I don't have the memo right in front of me. I think Freeholder Hughes might, but Holly, do you want to talk about, this is the home care community nursing services?
Where's Holly?
Right here.
Oh.
That is our contract with Virtua to provide a lot of our public health nursing services. So they provide services in our STD clinic, do HIV testing, immunization clinic, improve pregnancy outcomes, tuberculosis home visits. They do the HIV testing in the jail.
Increased lead cases.
Our lead case management, all of our public health nursing services.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And was Virtue the lowest bidder?
How do those work, Holly?
Yes, they were the only bidder.
The only bidder? Wow. Okay. Again, thank you. Age 16. Was Pinoli Associates the lowest bidder?
Typically on these types, hey Joe, this is the batch asphalt
This
testing.
is qualifications-based selection.
No, I don't understand that. Were they the lowest bidder?
No, sir. They
Oh,
were selected based on their qualification.
and there weren't other programs that weren't as qualified? Is that what you're telling
Sir,
me?
I think you want to ask the
No, I'm asking you
No.
because aren't you answering?
Mr. Bracy, look this way.
I'm
So
sorry.
what's your question?
Were there not other providers, aside from Pinelli Associates, who often contributes to the Burlington County Republican Party, as you know, that could have received a grant for those services?
There were other bidders, but this, based on our engineer's recommendation, they had the qualifications and expertise to deal with this batch testing. This batch testing is an important part because we need to make sure that there are contractors that will distill the asphalt in order to make, because they'll charge you for X amount, they'll distill it, and then it doesn't hold up as well on the road. And so this is an important part of the process, and our engineering team works with a wide array of professionals, and some are more experienced at bridge work, some are more experienced at, as I said before, the resource conservation. Each of them has their own specific credentials and experience and qualifications, and they give us those recommendations based on in their opinion, who will do the best job based on what the specific project has to do.
Okay, again, I thank you. Follow up on that. Is Pinelli Associates a Burlington County-based engineering firm?
No, they're not.
Where are they from?
I believe Philadelphia.
So I'm assuming there's no other type engineering firm in Burlington County that could provide that service?
There may be, but as I said, this was the recommendation that they had the best qualifications and experience to do this specific piece of work.
I find that hard to believe because, we want to promote Burlington County businesses.
I agree with
I would
you,
think that we
but
would try to contract whenever possible if these businesses were of similar qualifications and experience to provide the service. Wouldn't you agree with that?
we want to make sure that our taxpayers are getting the best product and the best service for their money.
And this has nothing to do with the significant money that Pinelli Associates donates to the Burlington County Republican Party?
This recommendation came through our county engineer. He said that based on their experience and their professional understanding of this project, that this was the best,
Okay.
this was the best
And
person.
the county engineer is back there? May I turn around and ask him a direct question?
No, you've now gone through 2 periods. I think I've been very fair with going over with time.
Ma'am, I'm only trying to ask questions as a
I've
member of the
answered every
public.
one of your questions.
That's
I've
great,
not
and you've been
stated-
fantastic, and I'm not quite done yet.
But sir, I've already given you 2, so you're gonna have to.
I have one more.
You can do.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it, but then again, would you please consider changing the aspect of your agenda? What if other members of the public had questions like I had tonight, which are all legitimate, agenda-based questions, and you're gonna limit their time to 5 minutes?
Well, the agenda gets posted. You could have called the office, emailed our office ahead of time.
I like to do things in public.
I understand. You could have requested a meeting. I'm just saying, the way our board works and operates so that everyone isn't here until the middle of the night is that you have to set a time limit. Ours is 5 minutes for public comment, per public comment period. That's stated at the beginning of the meeting. It's in our rules. I've given you now 2 full periods.
You've been fantastic.
I'm
I
not
only
trying
have
to-
one more. You've been fantastic, but you know what? I think you might want to change your policy because why would people, the public, I mean, you want the public to come to meetings, correct?
Absolutely.
Why would the public come to meetings if they had agenda items that they've reviewed that's really important to them personally and perhaps to their communities as well, but would have to face a 5-minute time limit to ask those questions?
Because we typically don't have a problem with the 5-minute limit. Most people come with a question or 2 and we give them the time, and if they need extra time, I'm happy to give extra time as you've seen
You've been
tonight.
fantastic.
I just don't want the meeting to get out of control and to run too late. So if you have more questions, I'm happy to
I have
answer
one
them,
more.
but then we're going to move on.
I have one more, thank you. I would think if you look at changing the policy, honestly, you're going to bring more folks out to address the board, which is what I think you might want to do. Here's my last question, and thank you for your courtesy. Is Hogan Security Group a Burlington County-based firm?
Hogan Security Group.
I'm sorry, ma'am. It's in reference to H20, which may not be H20.
Okay, 21. This was somebody that came off a state contract, which means that it doesn't go through the traditional procurement process. There are certain people that the state basically has like a consortium where all local governments, municipalities and counties, once somebody gets on a state contract, they're pre-approved by the state to say, it eliminates that bidding process, so whenever we can go off state contract, it saves time, it saves money, it saves staff resources, so whenever we can purchase off of state contract, we do, and they came off of state contract.
Okay, I want to thank you for your courtesy and the additional time. It was deeply appreciated.
You're very welcome, thank you. Okay, are there any others for agenda items? Seeing none, I'm going to close this portion of public comment, move on to resolutions, and I'm going to make a motion to move items H1 through H6 by unanimous consent.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Hughes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Freeholder Hughes.
Thank you, Director. I'd like to make a motion to move items H7 through H14 by unanimous consent.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Tiber, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Freeholder Pullian.
Yes, Director, I'd like to move Resolution H15 by unanimous consent, please.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Tiber, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Freeholder Singh.
Thank you, Director. I'd like to move the item H16 by unanimous consent.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Hughes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Freeholder Tiber.
Thank you, Director. I'd like to move resolutions H17 through H22 by unanimous consent.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Hughes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Questions from the press? Okay, second portion of public comment. Carol Melman, first up. State your name and address for the record, please.
Carol Melvin, Springfield. Back here again about the pool. Can you give me any new information? Has the report been released to you guys? Because I haven't seen it yet. The report that our CBC trustees were supposed to be getting, that they put out a while ago now, for potential uses of the campus.
You're talking about RFPs.
Not RFPs. It was a report that was supposed to be provided to RCBC, I would assume to you guys as well, about potential uses of the campus, the Pemberton campus.
I have not seen that report. I do know that right now they're in the process of soliciting proposals, and I haven't seen any of the proposals that have.
Yeah, they do tend to drag their feet. It's been months. And so I will reiterate, save the campus. You have a perfect opportunity to take that campus over, use the parks that are worth using, save the athletic center for the residents of Burlington County, and subdivide and give Pemberton Township ratables. It's in your hands, not the trustees.
Thank you, Carol. Would anybody else like to speak for public comment? Come on down, name and address for the record, please.
I'm going to speak quickly because I have 5 minutes and I have a number of questions. So I'm going to speak quickly with the questions. And when I'm done, I'm hoping board members during board comment or even before board comment will react. And again, thank you. Paul Bracey, 12 Regency Drive, Mount Holly. I can't put it any other way, except I will say this. I have the deepest respect for Freeholder Hughes and former Freeholder Gargano when they ran their last campaign. It was virtually a smut-free campaign, and was deeply impressed. Saying that, I'm deeply troubled with the campaign spot that I saw on 10/8 in reference to Freeholder George Youngkin. I was troubled with it because that's mudslinging. It's mudslinging, and it's expensive mudslinging. I have absolutely no problem with the fact that Youngkin is no longer a candidate. In fact, he should have never considered running for any position. However, I have a real personal problem with the inferences that were made in reference to Joanne Swartz and Felicia Hodson. I am hoping that because of everything that's happening in the world of politics, that we get off this mud and deal with relevant issues. Particularly considering you had a great article by David Levinsky that was in the Burlington County Times. Frankly, you didn't have to go there. So what I'm hoping you do is order your handlers to take that commercial off the television. Now, if you don't, you're telling me that you're into mudslinging instead of dealing with issues. Please don't react now, but if you want to later, I certainly want to hear you. And again, please, you have been highly respectful. No disrespect intended, but with all candor, Freeholder Gibbs, it's clear to me that just before an election, you have taken advantage of the county newsletter and the recycling promotion, it was on television, and the two recycling mailers. We know that the Burlington County Republican Party doesn't have to worry about chump change. So what I'm hoping is in the future, you don't use county taxpayers' money to indirectly promote self-interest around election time, because in all honesty, and challenge me on this, this is a practice the Burlington County Republicans have been doing election after election. It needs to stop.
We're not, and we would never.
You have. I'm sorry.
Public funds promoter, those things are informational. The freeholder director is featured in those things, as we have always done in the past. Election year, not every year is an election year. In
Okay.
Burlington County, we've got, yes, every year is an election year. We've got.
But with all due respect, ma'am, they just seem to come out a little before an election. Why is that?
I just think that that's a perception, and that's not.
I could show you otherwise, and I will in the future. I'd like to ask, can I communicate with Freeholder Singh? Will he be able to hear me?
Freeholder Singh,
I'm here, Director.
can you hear Mr. Bracy?
Yeah.
Freeholder Singh, it's a pleasure.
I'm
Can
sorry,
I
this is-
talk?
This is Mr. Paul I can't lift this up. This is Paul Bracy, and he has some direct comments for you. He's gonna speak a little louder.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Freeholder Singh, it's a pleasure, sir. As I know, you teach at Burlington City High School, you're a math teacher, and I know you're clearly aware of the gang-related issues and other related behaviors that that occur in an area where I grew up known as New Yorkshire.
I'm not a teacher at Burlington City High School anymore.
Okay, you were, however, am I correct?
Yes, I'm actually a proud graduate of Burlington City.
Oh, absolutely. As I am. So, sir, you're aware of what I'm talking about, am I correct?
I'm sorry, I missed it. What were you talking about?
You're aware of what I'm talking about in that in the section of New Yorkshire known as Browntown, where there's a high related gang activity which resulted in a murder over the weekend on the corner of Lawrence and York Street. I used to live on Lawrence Street.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But if you want me to look into something, you want me to contact the local mayor and ask about something about it?
No, what I'd like you to do is affirm what our freeholder director's already said, that targeted proactive programs that specifically target youth from gang-related environments makes perfect sense. Does it not, sir?
I'm sorry, is that a rhetorical question? Of course it does.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, is the Director of Human Services here tonight?
I believe she is.
May I?
She might have slipped out.
Is she here?
Oh, no, there she is.
Oh, ma'am, I asked you to provide me information about youth at risk programs for youth at risk in Burlington County so I could compare your programs with my program almost a year ago, and I haven't received anything yet. When do you think I'll receive something?
If I could get maybe more specifics on what it is that you're looking for.
Mr. Bracy,
I'm sorry.
you know what? Why don't we'll make
Well, see, my problem is this.
Make those requests to me, and we'll
Okay,
get them handled.
thank you. Again, I made this request a year ago, where I specifically asked for programs that are servicing Burlington County youth at risk. And tonight I've heard some programs that are really good, but I haven't had a chance to look at them.
See, I remember last year us providing you a lot of information about our services, and I remember Mr. Gargano being here.
All the
discussing
time.
that So listen, I want to get you what you're looking for.
Please.
So why don't after this meeting, you give me what you're looking for, and we'll make sure that you get
Thank you.
information.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
But you're going to have to wrap up because
Okay,
we're
all right.
well over the 5 minutes.
Not a problem. I'll try to pull one or two more quick questions, and thank you. I'm going to ask you tonight as a board of freeholders to take a position. There is absolutely no reason the County of Burlington has to resort to the type of mudslinging that appears on television commercials.
Those things are not done by the County of Burlington or us in our
Who are they done by?
They're political campaign.
Correct?
expenditures.
And you are running for the positions, am I right?
I am.
Then you could demand that these type commercials do not appear on television.
this just isn't an appropriate venue to address that. That's a political issue.
What's the appropriate vendor?
We are serving in our governmental capacity here, and I don't think it's appropriate to talk about political campaigns.
Well, wait a minute. So you're saying as a freeholder director, running for re-election, you don't have the right to speak to Glenn Polson, Bill Layton, Chris Russell, George Nikita, or Jose Socha, and say, or the state Republican committee, and say, yo guys, in Burlington County, we don't want smut on television to misrepresent.
On the political side of things, I can, what I'm saying is that right now we're in a freeholder meeting for the County of Burlington. I'm serving in my official capacity as freeholder director, and I've been happy to address any of your county-related questions and comments here tonight, but I'm not going to speak about
But
politics.
you're saying that's not relevant?
I didn't say it wasn't relevant. I said this isn't the appropriate venue to discuss political issues. It just isn't.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
Ma'am, I want to thank you. I have some other questions, but you have been more than understanding and more than courteous, and I thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and your interest. Would anybody else like to speak? Public comment.
Yes, hi. My name is Jack Covington from Southampton Township. And I'm here to talk about the Pemberton campus pool. And as you know, well, Pemberton BCC was located geographically at center of the county. It was initially the site was picked. And all the high schools use that pool for their meets. Winnipeg, Pemberton, all the high schools, they have state meets there. Don't know if any thoughts to give to what you're going to do down the road if you don't keep that open.
So we have the campus is owned by Rowan College of Burlington County. Recently, I think about maybe a month ago, they put out a request for proposals, which means that developers can submit proposals indicating what their vision is for the campus and how they would plan it. That can include subdivisions, it can include part of the property remaining as part of the county, or the proposals really, what we're looking for is what are the different options do we have. When the college takes in all those RFPs, they can either select one of those, or they can reject all of them and go back out, or they can, they create a subcommittee and create a redevelopment plan of their own. There's a lot of different options. All we're doing right now is putting out the RFP to see what opportunities are available to us and what are going to be the best thing for RCBC. RCBC's core mission, the college mission, has always been affordable pathways for higher education. It was initially built out there because the demographics of the county were different. It was located near the base, which was the primary population that was serving. Students voted with their feet. We couldn't get students to take classes, even students from that part of town, we couldn't get them to take classes at that campus. They wanted to be in Mount Laurel. And when we were able to partner with Rowan University and create the 3+1 program for bachelor's degrees offered at $30,000 total, one of the things that was part of that reorganization and that partnership was a refocus of a centralized campus in Mount Laurel. And so they're moving forward with that process. We've made significant investments in the Mount Laurel campus, and the sale of the Pemberton campus and the redevelopment of that campus, those funds need to go back toward the college's core mission to keep tuition affordable and to provide really quality pathways for success. That's our plan. We trust that we appointed those trustees because we believe they have the right vision for this county and for the college, and I trust that they're going to do the right thing and make sure that they choose a plan that we all are proud of and all can be happy and that supports that core mission. So that's my plan. I was a swimmer in high school and in elementary school, and in college, my roommate was a swimmer in college. I understand. I used to get on a bus and go to a different county at 9 o'clock at night for swim practice in the winter because we didn't have a facility in the county that I grew up in. So I understand. And we want to make sure that the students who use this and rely on it have a place for their meets. And we're working with all the superintendents from the affected schools to make sure that they have opportunities and they have other options. So we're working through all that. It's very much on our radar and on the trustees' radar. We haven't made any decisions yet. The RFP process is gonna be going on. We'll evaluate the proposals and we'll decide from there. So I hope that answers your question.
You have a real gem out there, though, you know, that pool is a gem, so.
Thank you.
You hate to lose it.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close this portion of public comment. Move on to freeholder comments. Freeholder Singh.
Thank you, Director. Apologize, I have been a little caught up at work today and was not able to properly get it on the phone line. But thank you everyone for coming out, and please, if you want to reach out to me, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Pullian.
I don't have anything this time.
Thank you. Freeholder Tiger.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you for coming out.
Freeholder Hughes.
Thank you to Virtua for coming out and acknowledging Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Also want to acknowledge that Virtua just recently opened the Samson Cancer Center in Morristown. It's a wonderful state-of-the-art facility right in our own county where people can be receiving that cancer treatment when they need it, and it's just a great supportive environment. So congratulations to Virtua on that, and that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's your... Tonight we voted on our first,
Yep.
Okay. Tonight we voted to award our first school security grant. Pemberton Township was the first to apply, and they have been approved for a grant in the amount of $1.2 million to make capital school security improvements. We're so happy to be working with their superintendent and making sure that their students and teachers are as safe as possible, and we're proud to have put forth this money without raising property taxes, but to put forth $20 million to help remove a financial barrier to providing safety. And we're just so proud to be awarding this first grant. So I want to thank my fellow freeholders for all of their support on this kind of crazy idea that we had and getting it implemented. We announced it in June, and the fact that we're giving out our first grant in October, I think, is a testament to all the staff. Thank you to Mark Krasson and to your team. Everybody worked really hard on streamlining this process so that we can get these improvements into schools, protecting kids as soon as possible. So I want to say thank you to everybody for their hard work. And with that, I'm going to call for adjournment. Take a motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.